Welcome to your Daily 5 for Tuesday, September 26th, 2023. I read an opinion piece over on, I believe it was Polygon. I'll link to the opinion piece so you can read it. I'm pretty sure it was on Polygon. That I have to admit is one of the rare times where I read something and I can honestly see, well, I mean, I try to see both sides of what people say a lot of times, but it's rare that I actually equally agree with something I read and think it's complete nonsense on the other hand, a true 50-50 split. And so this opinion piece was about the reboot of Mortal Kombat, the recently released Mortal Kombat 1, which I've been playing. I'm not out of the first act yet, I don't know, I'm at the point where I'm playing as Reptile, so wherever that is in the narrative if you're playing the game. And it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. I like Mortal Kombat 11 as well. I thought that was a really good game. That's exactly why I bought Mortal Kombat 1. And it has been every bit as exciting and is one of the very, very few games that my wife likes to sit and watch me play because it is basically playing a movie. Anyway, this opinion piece was making the case that the timeline should not have been reset. For those who may not have been following the long and twisted mythology of Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 11 reset everything. It essentially ended the current timeline and then put Liu Kang in charge of rebooting the universe with a new timeline, hence the title Mortal Kombat 1. And this opinion piece said that some of the fun of Mortal Kombat was the twisted and increasingly just nonsensical storyline, that when writers have to keep coming up with ways to account for what came in the previous game or the previous three games, and why characters have multiple weird backstories and were bad guys in one and good guys in another, and now they're twisting around again, or they're gray area, whatever, that is the fun of these types of games and stories. And I do understand that viewpoint to a degree. I actually do think that it is fun to have something that is so unwieldy and out of control that you have to keep grasping at more and more insane ways to make this narrative seem like it could possibly be one flowing story. And that kind of zaniness is fun. And I don't think that Mortal Kombat ever really had a problem with that. Its problems were when it tried to get serious as opposed to getting zanier. And so, yes, I can see where this opinion comes from. There is a fun, there is a mirth in trying to figure out where they could possibly go next with a story like this. So I do understand that. But on the other hand, when you do something like that, you end up with a problem that Lando and I have talked about for a long time that happens in the comics. Something like the X-Men, where since the X-Men have been around or Batman for that matter, these characters have been around for so long and been in so many stories that there is a point where it starts to feel a little bit, silly, yes, but then it becomes a little tiresome because you know that there's no permanence to anything. You know that there's always going to be some way that they're going to squeeze these characters out, and that nobody evil ever stays truly evil, nobody dead ever stays truly dead, and at some point the good guys are either going to, for real or for some fake reason, become evil for some limited amount of time, until the story resets and they come back. But instead of actually resetting, they just twist the narrative back around and pretend that it's not a big deal, that it doesn't make sense that this character was a completely different alignment maybe 2 months ago. And again, there can be fun versions of that, but more often than not, what you end up doing is just stopping and not really paying attention. It becomes background noise because there is no weight, there is no meaning, there is no merit to anything. It is simply one more bunch of story that really doesn't matter and that you'll forget about shortly after you've ingested it. And that's really not great from a storytelling perspective. It shouldn't be that you really just don't assign anything to a story you're being told because you don't think it's actually going to mean anything. There should be some heft to a story. And so that's the other side of it. And so in that way, in this particular case with Mortal Kombat, I like the fact that the universe has been reset, at least as far as I've seen of it. I think that what they're doing is fun. And yes, could they have made another game that they have continued the ones from 11 and kept the story going? Yeah, they probably could have. They've done it many times before. But I don't think that in this case it's such a bad thing to start over. I think it allows you to have some fun with the characters and play around. That's the nice part about a reset. It doesn't always work. In fact, a lot of times it doesn't. But with something like this where the characters are very flamboyant and weird and interesting, a reset lets you kind of play around with what the audience expectations are, and that can be a lot of fun. So thus far, I'm falling on the side of I'm glad they did a reboot. Now, that might change by the end of the game, but right now, if you had to ask me, I'm kind of glad they reset the universe. Later.